Hey guys, what is up? I do apologize if this video has a little bit of wobble. Unfortunately, my camera stand decided to break last minute when I was going to make this video, but I do actually have a new camera now, so I was hoping this would be a little bit better quality for you guys. But without further ado, let's get into this review. So this is the Skypad XL 2.0, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the key characteristics, why you should buy this pad, why you should not buy this pad, and some of the drawbacks and the pricing. So number one is why you should buy the pad, the durability. The number one thing I could say about this pad is that in terms of how durable it is, this is literally glass. It's a lifetime guarantee. Assuming you don't rub any sort of metal or anything on it, like you just use plastic feet, you don't use any other types of feet, this will last forever. Now, number two, extremely smooth. Like when it comes to how this glides, and you can see it here, very smooth. There's not a whole lot of noise. I mean, it's definitely on, a level that's much higher than something like, my high end and stuff like that. But in terms of like versus a hard pad, this is really good. And this is unused feet, keep in mind. These are quite old. These aren't by any means new feet. So, they're very, very good, and it's been very, very good for me, and it's really, really smooth. Like easily my highest Kovacs scores have been taken on this, even though I'm not very good at Kovacs. So the next thing I want to delve into a little bit is the sizing on this. The sizing versus the old red version, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the old red version for you guys here. As you can see, we'll make sure to put it upside down just for the video to make it look worse. As you guys can see, the sizing difference is massive. Like, this thing is insanely big compared to the old version. I mean, you've got literally nearly half a mouse worth here and almost a full mouse on the right side of this thing. I mean, it is like night and day in terms of like how much bigger it is. The only other thing that I could really say with this is that versus the old version, it may actually be a little bit smoother, I will say. Like, I have to go out on a limb and say, I feel like it is a little bit smoother. I know they say it's the same surface, but I'm not quite too sure about that. I want to say that it's, a little different. The other thing that I want to delve into is as you guys can see, the feet on the back of this. The feet on this thing is insane. Like, they are so good. Like, I will say this right now. After using my high end and taking it off my desk a few times, it constantly gets into a situation where it starts moving, unfortunately. I know that the backing on the Artisan pads is really good, but it will start moving after enough usage. These use silicone feet from 3M. These literally do not move. Like, on a good desk, and I haven't had any problems with my desk personally, these do not move. This is so solid. Like, this is not going anywhere. And that just gets into my next point that I've wanted to make here, is that the durability, I already said it earlier, this thing is literally impossible to break. Like, they even showed drop tests of this thing without breaking. It is a one-time buy pad. You don't have to keep buying these. It's not like a hard pad where you've got to buy a new one every 6 months, rate of like $20 to $30 in a good size. This is a one-time buy. So in my opinion, that alone can make this worth the $80 or whatever they decide to charge for it full price once it comes out. I really do think that this is the pad to go for if you're going to go for it. I don't even think the smaller one's worth it. I think this is the pad to go for just based on that. And like when it comes to the drawbacks, the one thing I will say is that if you have a little bit of sweat on your arm and you're not somebody who's a wrist aimer, you're more of an arm aimer, this will stick a little bit. As you can see here, I'm not too sweaty, but it still sticks a little bit. And you can see I could press down here. See if I can get it to show a little bit. It does stick. So you want to keep that in mind. The other side of this as well that I've really come to notice as well is that, for example, here you can see there's a hair. If I was to hit this, it's like hitting a landmine. You don't want to keep this thing dirty. Like, absolutely, this is a pad that requires a bit of maintenance, whether it's to have a cloth next to it to wipe it down. You can clean it with also, and that gets to my next point, this thing is really fucking easy to clean. Like, there's no difficulty cleaning it. When it comes to cleaning it, you could literally just take a glass cleaner or water and just wipe it down with a microfiber or paper towel. Like, this thing is so easy to clean compared to a cloth pad. It's no effort at all. So, without a doubt, I mean, this is my favorite pad so far that I've ever used, and I think this is probably my end game pad. I haven't had to switch much. I do switch back to a cloth one I have on occasion just to see, and for everything I've done so far, this is the pad of choice that I'll go to. If I want to like aim the best, feel the quickest, and just have a pad that's super smooth, this is my first number one choice. And it even keeps your wrist a little bit cool because it's glass. So, I personally think that this pad is worth every single cent you'd pay for it. I do think that it is on the pricier end. So if you're using something like the Viper Mini, I don't know if you could justify spending almost $100 on a pad like this because of the fact that it's kind of outweighing. It's like having a really, really crappy car and putting nice tires on it. if that makes any sense. Not that the Viper Mini is by any means a bad mouse at all. It's a great mouse, like easily one of the best on the market. But I do think that the pricing is quite high, so keep that in mind. If you've got something nicer like a G Pro Wireless and you want to complement it with the best pad that you could possibly buy, this is the choice that I would go for. And I even have to go out on a limb and say, like, one of my favorite key features is the damn logo. People complain about this thing, but I have to say, I like it. I think it's like really, really nice, and I think that Skypad's done a pretty good job with how they put it underneath. I know the custom pads, they've done some crazy stuff with it. They put some crazy designs on Twitter, so if you get a chance, run over to the server and check it out. And yeah, I mean, that really just consists of my whole review. There's really not much more to say. This is a perfect pad. There's no big flaws to me. I mean, besides the dust flaw and, you know, the pricing, this is the pad to go for, I think. And is it a high-end killer? Is it an Artisan killer? I have to go out on a limb and say, I think so. I think this is a high-end and Artisan killer, personally. I really do think that if this meets your criterion of like a fast pad that you want, and you think you'll be able to stop it, because this is another thing that I will talk about too, is that the stopping power is really not as horrible as people say. People are like, oh, it has no stopping power. Like, I'm going to clean this off a little bit here just to make sure there's no dust. As you can see, it really isn't, like, horrible. I mean, it will slide far if you do decide to, like, just yeet your mouse. But in terms of, like, how it behaves, really, I mean, it's quite good. There's really no, like, drawbacks to it. I've performed really well in games like CS, where precision is very, very important. I've performed well in Valorant, other games. Not that I'm gaming that much with first-person shooters anymore, unfortunately, because I just don't have the time with work and stuff, school. This is the pad to go for. And I know this review is a little bit drawn out because of that, but I just can't stress enough how much I want to say that this pad has just been my favorite by far. And I think in terms of 2021, when this becomes more available, this will be the pad that everybody will want. I really do think so. I think it's really just that good, assuming you have the desk space for it. And if you don't, just get the smaller one. You know, I mean, honestly, like, I really don't see a drawback to it. Yep, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's really not much else to say. I mean, I'll leave the links to their Discord. This is a small company out of Denmark, and they get these produced, I believe, in China. Very well built, very, very clear about the process. And I've got to say, one of the most seamless Kickstarters I've seen so far. So, huge shout out to Skypad. You guys are amazing. I paid for this myself, so nobody paid me to do this review. This is just a fantastic mouse pad, and I highly recommend it.